Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our review of the majority of the Mandalorian series. As we said last week, we've missed episodes 1 and 2, but episode 3 came out, and we enjoyed the hell out of that. Episode 4 of season 2, or chapter 12, The Siege. There you go. I'm actually going to give the subtitle this week because, professional. So I'm joined again by the inimicable. Yeah, no, you're supposed to introduce yourself whenever I leave a pause.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say Carl Weathers.
I mean, if I were joined by Carl Weathers, that would be, no offence, but better.
True that. Can't complain. Can't argue with that. Greetings all. It's Barry Nugent, aka the Nuge. I realised that I was doing the Vulcan greeting sign to the screen, which is wrong for a few reasons, which I will name. Reason 1, no one can see me. Reason 2, this is Star Wars, not Star Trek. Reason 3, see reasons 1 and 2.
So I love that T-shirt, which is like you're a wizard, Harry, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Star Trek. I love that kind of stuff. so I wouldn't have minded that, despite the fact that, as we established last week, I am apparently the pedantic anal one. So
yeah,
which I am. I'm not going to.
You would have corrected me. You're just saying that now, just because. Do you know what I mean? Just to be facetious.
Yeah, actually, I think you'll find
you don't actually need to do a voice.
The voice. Have I just got that voice?
Your own voice.
Wow.
Your own voice is more than up to the task, buddy. Don't sweat it.
Okay? So on that note, Mr. Weathers, if you're listening and you want to take over as co-host of this podcast,
look.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm not, and all I'm saying is one of us looks more like Carl Weathers than the other. That's all I'm saying. So join me next week for Weathers of the Nuge discussing the Mandalorian.
I think you'll find it. It's Wedgedock and C-Dub.
Yeah. Yeah.
C-Dub, that's what I call him.
Right. Okay.
Because we're tight.
Yeah.
Or whatever the youth say these days. Yeah. I don't know.
Don't ever say that again.
No, I won't.
Right. Shall we get on with it?
Yeah, let's get on with it. So I'm going to give the official description again because I really like these because they're nice and short.
All right.
You ready?
Yep.
The Mandalorian rejoins old allies for a new mission. Why did I say alloys instead of allies? I'll try again. The Mandalorian rejoins Anyway, old allies, new mission. That's it, basically.
Right. I think one of the things I actually do like the way they do their because there's no spoil. It's just
I love it.
Yeah, it's just as spoiler free as they can possibly get it.
Yeah, and also it's like an elevator pitch, right? It's a sentence.
Yeah. So, but it still just ties into that idea of almost going back to like 80s TV with that kind of A-Team MacGyver style. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The episodic nature, but also that kind of condensed. Yeah, just this is what happens this episode. Do you know what I mean?
The A-Team meet the bad A-Team.
Yeah. Airwolf fights the bad Airwolf. It's.
I can't wait for the episode where the Mandalorian meets the guy who's going around pretending to be the Mandalorian.
Yeah, it's coming. Yes. So, episode four. Episode 4. What do you think?
I loved it again, and again, it's a similar thing to last week. So I just. It felt to me not like filler. Filler's the wrong word, but it was kind of almost like it was a nice breather between the meeting the other kind of Mandalorians last week and presumably next week Ahsoka being in it, and also it was a reasonable reason for having a breather. So he needed to have repairs, so he went to somewhere local, which happened to be a place he'd been before, and he happened to have left his mates. And then the fact that it's that Western feel of sort of haggling for your. So just to tell people again, sorry, spoilers galore.
Yes,
there will be. So stop listening, go and watch, come back, listen again. We will still be here because that's how downloaded podcasts work. We don't go away. So yeah, I just love that feeling. It kind of made sense. He went. He's like, "Can you do me some repairs?" So like, by the way, can you do something for us? So you get a job. So it's I love like the wandering troubleshooter, littlest hobo element to it. I just really love. And then again, it was great to see. What's Carl Weathers' character called? Because I can only ever think of him as Carl Weathers.
Grief Karga.
There you go. Thank you. And obviously Cara Dune as well. It's always a joy to see them, especially Cara Dune because she's epic. And I also love the fact that the episode opened with her doing badass
Epic
stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just like there's not. I was talking to a friend at work today. She was saying it's like at no point did you think there was a stunt person involved in that scene. It was like nope, she's just throwing people around the room.
She's just hurting people all in her lonesome.
Yeah, because she's so well cast.
Yeah.
She's a proper. Yeah, I mean she's an MMA fighter, isn't she? Anyway, so I mean it's just great. But then also showing that the character has that softer side as well.
Mm.
With having the school and stuff, and then like the whole kind of almost like the heist nature, which also revealed stuff that's going to be important to the series moving forward. Again, just really well done.
I really love this episode because it had. So first off, I knew the minute the last episode ended, and it was like you need to go here, and if you go here, and find Ahsoka Tano, that's who you need to go and find. Straight away, I was like, well, that's not going to happen in the next episode.
I was thinking. I didn't. I actually thought, great, we're getting Ahsoka in episode 4.
It was just too much of a kind of like, this is who you need to go and see, and the next episode is right. I now see them. There was just something in my head that was like, they're going to find a way to like stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's the writer in you, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And like you said, the way that they did it worked. And what I worry going into it, I was worried that I was going to sit there going, I don't want to see this. I want to see Ahsoka. Why am I here? You know? But I think the way that they did it by bringing back in 2 characters that I really liked meant that after 5 minutes, I'd forgotten that's where you needed to get somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? I was just enjoying what I was watching. Yeah. And it was good to see that those characters had evolved. The planet had evolved because of what Mando and the 2 of them had done in the previous series. But also they did it in such a way that again it lent into the episodic nature of the show. You could have just sat there and you could have watched it, and it was you could have taken away that these were 2 old friends of Mando that he's gone to see on this planet, where obviously some stuff had kicked off before and he'd helped them out, and now the planet was different. But it still worked as a standalone with peppering of a ongoing sort of story. We'll get onto that as we talk about the end and stuff. But the thing I loved about it felt, and I keep saying this, but this in particular, it felt like old school Star Wars. It felt like I was watching a Star Wars film condensed to 30 minutes. Yeah. And by that, what means when I've watched the previous episode of The Mandalorian, I've enjoyed it, but it felt like a Star Wars TV show where it's just, a little bit of an episode here, there, little sprinklings of Star Wars. And you go, oh, that's cool. But this one literally felt like they'd taken the best of Star Wars and just condensed it into half an hour. Yeah. So you got speeder bike chases, you got running around bases, you got shooting down stormtroopers and getting into fights, you got like last minute escapes.
And TIE fighters,
and then you manage to throw in TIE fighters, and then like a sort of TIE fighter battle, and I'm just like, and then just when you think you can't get any more, they then throw in some real big story beats right at the end. It was, apart from one thing, it was almost a perfect episode for me.
Oh, go on, hit me with the one thing.
So the thing that kind of, it didn't spoil it for me, but it just every so often I was a bit, okay, I get it. It was the other guy.
Yeah. The blue guy.
The blue, yeah, we're calling the blue guy or the blue weasel. The
comic relief for the episode.
The comic relief, because it wasn't relief. It wasn't relieving. No, it
didn't need it either.
It genuinely did not need it. And I think when comic relief is done well, it's in character. So by that I mean when you see like when you look at Han Solo and Chewie, they do like a lot of the comedic stuff. Yeah. But it works because it's banter between those characters, and it just so happens the banter that you're listening to is funny, Whereas, but it's still in keeping with the characters and the scenes that they're in. Whereas it was just too much for me. And although I get that they needed him because obviously he was like the hacker guy, so I was like, okay, so at least it wasn't comic relief. We had nothing to add to it.
Yeah.
But there were just a few times where I was just like, okay, just turn it in a bit, mate.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And the thing that really sort of like got me was, and is when I thought, oh, okay, you're that guy. Was obviously he drove them to the base, and then they're like, no, you're coming in. And then they're like, well, do you want to get eaten by the lava when the tide rises? It's like, you've just told him to park his car outside where the lava's going to rise.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I thought that.
And I'm kind of thinking this is literally just for the comedy effect now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need it. And the other thing is, it's like that character is literally the Mithril. He has no name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking through all the Wikipedia pages and stuff. The character has no name. He's just a member of an alien race, kind of thing. Which says all you need to know, because if he's supposed to be important, he'd at least have a name.
Yeah.
And yeah, I completely get that. The other thing for me that was a minor irritation, do you know what? Because I was watching it so we switched now. We stopped watching Mandalorian on a Friday evening because Cara likes to watch it because she's getting into Star Wars a bit again, and also obviously the child, kind of perfect bait for a 6-year-old sort of thing.
Yeah.
And after the second episode, she had some nightmares about giant spiders, oddly enough.
I think all about that.
Yeah, which I said to her, we said to her, says, okay, we'll not watch, we'll stop you watching The Mandalorian. She said, oh, no, they were different giant spiders. They weren't Mandalorian. It's like, yeah, nice try.
Wow.
Nice try, kid.
Yeah, nice try, kid.
So I compromised on we'll watch it on a Saturday morning after ballet. Because that way, at least you got the whole day to decompress from it. Like, because we're not terribly irresponsible parents, we're just slightly irresponsible parents. So watching it with Cara, it gives you kind of a different insight because obviously she takes different things from it than what you and I do. And I wasn't particularly a fan of like the child stuff in the school where he was like nicking the biscuits, but Cara was pissing herself at that.
Can I just say, Cara, if you're listening to this, you should be in bed asleep. But if you're not, I'm right there with you, kid. I'm right there with you, kid. I loved all of that.
I bet you found it hilarious when he threw up as well.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, when he was I think as well, it was like,
wow.
We've all been there at school. You see someone else sitting next to you, they got a pack of like Jaffa cakes or Ritz crackers. You look at over, it's like
space Jaffa cakes. In this
do you know what I mean? Yeah. You got a kid. He's eating space Jaffa cakes. You're like, can I have one, mate? And you're like, nah. Go on, mate. Nah. It's like, right, fine. I'm gonna use the force, mother. Do you know what I mean? So, and I just thought that shot of, and I think the way that they did it, where like, in some ways, that's how you did. The way they did the comedy with the hacker guy was wrong, and the way they did the comedy with the child was right. Reason being was, we know the kid's got the force, right? So when he's looking over, we're like, he's gonna use the force, and it's just the way they set it up so that you don't actually, you see him kind of do the hand, but you don't see it.
You don't see the packet move. He's just there with the packet.
Yeah, and then the next shot is just the kid looking over. He's just eating it, going, "Yeah, mother."
See, when you describe it like that, with the actual, yeah, mother. That's like, now it's funny.
You gotta watch that scene. That face he's got when he's eating the space Jaffa cakes. He's literally like, "Yeah, mother. You want these? Yeah."
You should just give me one, dickhead.
And I thought the bit at the end, which I thought the pure Star Wars moment, right? For me in this episode, I almost might have to start saying these, like calling out Star Wars moment. Yeah. The speeder bike chase was just money, right? Yeah. So that goes without saying. When the TIE fighters turned up and like Carl Weathers, because I can't remember what his real name, so I'm just going to call him Space Carl Weathers, was like when Space Weathers was trying to shoot him down and stuff. And I'm like, and even the radar readout, I was like, this is
Star Wars, yeah.
And then they're trying to race back and like they take the gun out, and then you see the Razor Crest come and the music goes, the music swells, and they go, yeah. It's the fact when it cuts to the child and he's like he's on a road because his arms. Oh no, but before that he's just chilling eating the space Jaffa cakes whilst all this is going on, and then when he does the loop, he's like, yay! I was like, that's how you do comedy.
Yeah.
and still manage.
And then when he just turns back to us, you okay? And like,
yeah.
Bleh.
But what it does really well with that sequence is it manages to do the almost like the same as some of Han Solo's best one-liners are kind of like in the Millennium Falcon when they're trying to get out of shit.
Yeah.
And what that scene did really well was it was able to keep the seriousness of the moment, the kind of fist pumping stuff, but slot in the humor, and the humor didn't override the action that was going on. And I thought that with the hacker guy, he just a lot of the times he was overriding what was going on. I'm like, I'm really enjoying this, and then he comes in to shot, and I'm like, oh
yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm scared of heights.
Yeah.
And lava. Because to me, you didn't need any of the comedy stuff in the base raid. It should have been tense, which it was for the most part.
Yeah.
And you know the things they found out there, which we'll get onto in a minute, because obviously time's cracking on a bit.
Mm-hmm. Let's just get on to the big stuff. So obviously during the raid, the first kind of shock came where they realized it wasn't this disused Imperial base, but actually was an Imperial lab being run by the scientists that we saw in the first season who had taken blood from the child. And there was a whole load of looked like failed clones experiments anyway.
Which looks slightly Snoky.
Because my first thought was, is he trying to clone Palpatine?
Yeah, you see, so this sort of feeds into a few things for me, and one was because in my head, what I thought was going on with like when they were talking about the blood and M counts, which I mean we all know what that referred to. Let's rephrase that. Everyone who's seen episode 1 of Star Wars knows what that was referring to, which is good because actually it kind of like it turned like that throwaway kind of midi-chlorian count thing. In the in Star Wars Episode 1, actually the fact that it's known as a scientific thing and people are trying to make use of that.
Yeah.
Now it's real to me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was kind of like, oh really? You're saying there's parasites, whatever. But now it's kind of like, oh no, this feels real somehow. And I don't know what the difference is, but there is a difference to me. But yeah, so I was thinking, I wasn't sure if Moff Gideon was just trying to essentially distill the ability to use the Force so he could create Super Troopers, or if, as the clones sort of, or what appeared to be the clones sort of suggest, he was attempting, he was basically trying to carry out the Emperor's wishes and create a clone for the Emperor, thus leading into Snoke / Episode 9.
Yeah, because the way I saw, because my first thought was, the troopers were going to be some kind of, Force enhanced sort of troopers and stuff. But then I thought about it as well, and I was thinking, yeah, but the way they show when she sort of says, "Oh, we've put a tracking device on the Razorhawk, which is a classic Empire," and you sort of said, "Yeah, we'll be ready," and then you see rows of these troopers. To me, they look ready to go.
Oh, they were ready to go. They were the old Dark Troopers from Dark Forces. Literally down to the design, they were exactly that. So,
but when you go back to the lab scene, listening to the guys, the guy recorded his sort of findings and stuff, and he's kind of saying we need to do, this hasn't worked. We need to do sort of more experimentation. We need more blood. So, to me, it almost feels like two different things are going on.
Definitely. They definitely are, yeah.
And it's almost like he's got his troopers and stuff, but there's like a grander plan going on. And whether the grander plan is, like you say, is Snoke, or whether the grander plan is the Emperor.
You see, to me,
Snoke would make more sense in terms of if you're trying to into the First Order and all that stuff.
So to me, Snoke and the Emperor are the same thing.
Yeah.
Because to me, Snoke is a failed Emperor clone. who's been, he's basically been. You think of like, you think of Heir to the Empire, and you think of the Jorah C'baoth and that, who is not Jorah C'baoth. He's a clone who thinks he's Jorah C'baoth.
Yes. Yeah.
So to me, Snoke is a clone that's been given memories of Snoke.
An identity.
Yeah, exactly. And he's been set up because he was the most successful of a failed batch of experiments, as far as the First Order knew. Because don't forget, they did not know about the actual Emperor clone that was on Exegol, whatever the planet was.
Yeah. And to be honest, neither did the writers when they did that.
Well, exactly. That's Snoke was the be all end all. No, I'm completely with you. But I'm trying to internally canonize stuff.
But to be honest, like and that's why I think your idea closer on the money than my idea, because if there's one thing that like Dave Filoni has proven time and time again over the years, is he's able to take concepts which haven't necessarily worked as well as when they were first realized and run with them. So like the way the clones and the Clone War was first kind of realized within Attack of the Clones didn't quite work as well as it could have done, or it was a little bit convoluted as well.
Yeah.
But then from that, we got the Clone Wars, which was then able to really flesh that all out to the point of we actually cared about the clones, and it gave Order 66 much more weight.
Yeah.
I think anyway.
No, I agree with you.
And I'm wondering if he's doing a similar sort of thing for the new Star Wars film.
So, speaking of Dave Filoni and tying things in and all the rest of it, can you just do me a favour? Can you just Google an image of the armourer from The Mandalorian? There's a reason for this. While you're talking, I will discuss it. So, last week we were talking about Death Watch.
Yeah.
And you know how in season 7 of Clone Wars we saw who was leading Death Watch?
Vaguely. That's going back a little way. But
so season 7 of Clone Wars was the one that was on Netflix recently. Oh, sorry, on Disney Plus recently.
Yeah.
And you know who Ahsoka was fighting? So I'll just say it, Darth Maul, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Look at the armorer's helmet.
Yeah,
the top of a helmet.
Yeah, no, I'm looking now.
With the horns.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. But it's a woman, though.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying she is Darth Maul. What I'm saying is, clearly, that sect has taken influence from they're definitely from Death Watch. And
okay. Okay, yeah, I get what you mean.
So is there someone coming in later that we might be introduced to? Is what I'm getting at.
Right. Yeah.
To be fair, it was one of I think it was a Screen Rant link about it where it's kind of like, and it literally just had that image and it was talking about links to the Death Watch, and it had an image of the armorer, and I'm like, I didn't even notice the horns. But yeah, it's just that whole, as you say, sort of tying everything together and making things coherent, but without needing to shout about it.
Yeah,
that just is great.
I just think this episode was just, we griped a little bit about the comedy guy, but that's just such a small inconvenience to what I thought was a brilliant episode.
Yeah.
And the way they dropped in that Cara Dune was from Alderaan.
Yes.
Just brilliant. And it just explains so much about her character without having to telegraph it. Just that conversation alone explains so much about her character.
Yeah, and it was a lovely character moment actually. So because this was the very end of the episode, really, wasn't it? Where things had finished, and obviously you had the X-wing pilots who were in last week's episode, kind of almost like chasing the Mandalorian down.
Which I didn't realize who that was, because obviously I didn't see that episode.
Oh, of course, yeah, because they were in episode 2, weren't they? It wasn't last week's. Sorry, yeah. So in episode 2, there are 2 X-wing pilots. One of them is Dave Filoni, again, and the other one is this guy. But that conversation he had, it was really good actually. And then just leaving of the symbol at the end.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what I hadn't noticed until this episode as well, and it was literally in that last scene that I noticed. It was her little Rebel Starbird tattoo she's got just under the eye.
Oh, yeah.
I hadn't even noticed that until this this episode, and I'm pretty sure it's been there from day one because it's not the kind
Yeah.
of thing they just randomly add. But it's those little details that just make the show. It's like, they don't telegraph them. It's not like, oh, I see you have that Rebel tattoo because you were a drop trooper. It's just like a little thing that if you notice it, it's there. And that they don't feel the need to telegraph. And yeah, for me, it's we said last week this show and Rogue One in particular, they're the Star Wars I'm more interested in because, while yes, as you've said, the Jedi are great and the space samurai and the space wizard samurai is fun. For me, I want to know about if not the normal people, but the normal people who excel. So your Mandalorians, your special forces dudes, your X-wing pilots, they're the guys who really, it was always, as you know, it was Wedge for me, who was my favorite character in Star Wars. And he's not in them very much. We'll not have that discussion. We'll have it another time.
Yeah. All I'll say, and then we'll round up, is that where I like the Jedi, because I said this last week that I've always been drawn to the Jedi more than like who you've been drawn to. But I think thinking about it now, one of the reasons why I liked the Jedi in the original trilogy more so than the later trilogies and blah blah is almost because there's too many of them, and the idea of that kind of lone warrior samurai-ish type character, much like what we're getting with the Mandalorian.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to see how they handle Ahsoka because we're living in a time where the Jedi are all but extinct. So,
yes.
And obviously Ahsoka's been through a load of stuff that we know. So I'm hoping that that's going to kind of give me back that mythic idea of what I want from the Jedi.
Yeah.
Rather than them just being people who can use, people who can do backflips and have laser swords.
Yeah.
It wasn't the reason why I loved the Jedi in like the first Star Wars and like Yoda wasn't because of the lightsaber. It was what that kind of gravitas those characters brought.
Yeah, the gravitas and the discipline.
Yeah, and the discipline that they brought, which we didn't see. It took 3 films, and all of a sudden, Luke was a completely different character. That first scene, I mean, we're going over it, but that first scene in Return of the Jedi, when Luke turns up, he's just a completely different character to what we've seen in 2 films.
Yeah, he's centered. He found his center at that point.
And he's different all through that. And I think the Jedi should bring a kind of weight to them, When they walk in, there should be that kind of... They should earn that music when they... They should earn that. And you get that with Obi-Wan, you get that with Yoda, and you get that with Luke in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But I feel as the films have gone on, it's just been backflip, spinning, and we've kind of lost...
With the occasional moment.
Yeah, with the occasional moment, but we've kind of lost the gravitas that should come with the Jedi, and I'm really hoping that if the Mandalorian is true to form in the way they're kind of tapping into that, what made Star Wars.
Yes,
that's what we'll get when we finally meet Ahsoka.
So to round up, I guess another really solid episode in my mind, proper Star Wars, proper lived-in feel. Just a quick shout out to the set designers who put the statue of IG-11 in the background of one of the shots. Genius. Salute to you. Probably salute to Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, who probably suggested it. But the fact that it was there in the background for you to notice if you did, loved it. But yeah, just keep it coming. Can't wait till next week, or this week even. Massively excited.
Cool. Right. So, the drill, people. Well, unless this is your first time listening, then you don't know the drill, so I will explain. You can...
That was the drill.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Get on with it now. You can get in contact with us at thegeeks@geeksyndicate.co.uk. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the Geeks Syndicate. Yeah. We're on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are all over the place. So come and find us. Let us know what you think of the episodes and give us your thoughts. Also, if you like what we do, whether it's on this episode or any of the podcasts on the GS network, then please feel free to buy us a virtual coffee via Ko-fi.com or become a patron. Links will be in the show notes, and all funds go back into the making of these fine shows that you are sitting and listening to at the moment. So all that remains is for me to say goodbye until next week from me. I made force with you.
And for me to say, this is the way.
See you next week, people.
Cheerio.